Welcome to today's show. Tucson Luxe Living features exceptional products and services for the area's top consumers, bringing together high-end real estate, business, money, and lifestyle. I'm your host, Alicia Kramer, realtor and owner of Tucson Luxe Living Publications. Today, we have a very fun guest. So we have Andres Ruiz. Did I pronounce that right? Did I get the last name right?
Ruiz. No, but it's cool.
Ruiz. Okay.
Yes,
all right. So that was the very American
it's all good
way of pronouncing that. It's so funny because normally I make sure that we always cover pronunciations before, but like you and I have like gotten to know each other so much, and I just realized, I don't know if I've got that last name down yet. So there we go. So you corrected that. So now everybody will hopefully get it right when they reach out to you and they're like, oh my God, I saw you on Tucson Luxe Living and I loved your energy and you're amazing. Can you coach me?
There you go. Let's do it.
So we have with us a coach, an author, a speaker who you're like you've gone like international now, technically, even if it's virtual. As far as I'm concerned, you are in the international speaking business.
Yeah.
And you have some amazing energy, and you're going to talk to us about some of the things that are most near and dear to my heart. Personal development is something that I'm absolutely passionate about. And it does not matter what your thing is. It doesn't matter if you're a business owner. It doesn't matter if you work, a 9 to 5. It doesn't matter if you are currently a college student, right? So This is an area where you are now really helping to inspire and people get their footing right for massive success in life. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate you bringing me on here, and really excited to see what we're going to create today.
Well, when I bring on guests, oftentimes they are service providers in the greater Tucson area, or they are experts in the area of some type of topic that tends to be of interest to the area's more affluent homeowners, business owners in the greater Tucson area. You have something kind of special and unique, and you are here in Tucson. So I love that, right? You are a local, and you are doing amazing things both locally as well as nationally and internationally. Yeah. And what you, what I think you can bring to us today in this conversation is to really talk about, just getting into the right headspace and achieving your goals and getting out of your own way. And those are all things that I do in my coaching practice as well, but you do them on a slightly different scale. So tell us a little bit about what you've got going on right now. What are you doing right now? Because I know you've got a bunch of stuff going on.
Yeah. So thanks for the question. And yeah, the whole headspace thing, like, it's so important when it comes to mindset. I think that's the most important thing that we have to master in order for us to master like sales or influencing people or persuading people, inspiring people. And so what I like to do is I like to work with, high schools. I'm working with colleges. I'm working with some organizations. And what I do is I just coach their team or their staff members so that they can have the mindset of showing up as their best self, because many times they have relationship problems. Maybe they have some money problems. Maybe they just don't like themselves. Maybe they need to lose weight. It just depends on what area of their life they're struggling with. And I help them find their own answers, because they have the answers. It's just that they're asking the wrong questions. If you're overweight and you ask yourself, why am I so fat? Well, because you eat a lot. That's the answer. But if you ask yourself, how can I lose weight? It changes everything completely. And a lot of us, we look at our circumstances like that's the end all. Like that's where I'm going to stay, and that's all I can do. Your circumstances do not define you. What defines you is your thought about the circumstance. But often we think the way that, that will sabotage us. We sabotage ourselves. We are our own worst enemy. We judge ourselves. We doubt ourselves. We procrastinate. I've had a lot of people who procrastinate. I tell them, well, why didn't it get done? Well, it was because I had to clean the garage, and then my friend invited me to coffee, and I'm like, okay, yeah, clean your garage, but you got to get the work done. You got to get stuff done, because their thought in that moment when they procrastinate, they start to have the fear of failure, the fear of what if I succeed and then I can't handle it? What will my mom think about me? What will my dad think about me? We're like big kids. That's who we are, because we are still living in high school. We still care about what people think or say about us. We're still worried that maybe we're not good enough because maybe about what somebody said to us when we were like 12 years old, and we're living in the past. So we have to find that thought and really analyze that thought. I'm a big believer in the words and the thoughts that you use. And that's why I give people a self-talk tracker to track the thoughts and the words that you use throughout the day, so you can see how that thought is all a lie. That story you keep telling yourself is what's holding you back from your greatness. So I help a lot of people with that. And then I also help them, because if they eliminate that thought, they can have more energy, because that's one of the elements in regards to energy that either gives us energy or drains our energy. Our thoughts. Our thoughts can make us well and they can make us sick. So you have to be very, very aware of what you're thinking about. What are you thinking about? Be aware of that. So that's kind of like, I went all over the place right there a little bit, but that's kind of like what I work with. And I just don't, I also work with one-on-one clients. I also have my Legacy Coaching Academy that I teach people how to become life coaches and go from part-time to full-time, just like I did it. And I just teach them very simple yet powerful steps on how to get to becoming a full-time coach, and then also scaling their business in the process after they become a full-time coach.
So even though you've got all of these different things going on, there's always that overarching theme, and that really comes down to refining your mindset so that you can achieve your goals. And it really is an inside job. It absolutely is an inside job. Now, like, I know the skill that I work with people on, I work with very high performance entrepreneurs. And you are really working with people at all different stages of life, from just starting, right? You said you've got some really cool things in the works. You're working with colleges, you're coaching a lot of, staff and students and things like that, to really just make those internal shifts and build a solid foundation so that they can have a life and achieve the things that ultimately they really feel inspired and called to do.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about what are you seeing with your clients, like across the board? What are you seeing as being like the things that are tripping people up the most? Because I know that there tend to be a lot of things that are very, very, very common, right? And so people who are tuning into this, I want them to be able to really walk away, from this and say, I understood it in a way that I did not understand it before, and help them to create that little subtle shift that might just be the catalyst for them to go out and be a little bit more confident, to be a little bit more productive.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great question. And what I often see is the perfectionist. They try to get everything perfect until they can finally launch their coaching business. They need a website, they need their niche, they need their they need everything to be just right for them to take action. And then they stop, and then they look at it and it's not ready yet. And then they judge it, and then they doubt themselves. And then here comes the self-doubt, and then the limiting beliefs, the thoughts that, well, my uncle said that he didn't do it and he didn't succeed, so it probably is not going to work for me. He was probably right. So we get into our heads, and then we tell ourselves all these stories that eliminate the possibility of even going for it. And then another thing is like the fear of failure. Like, they fear that, what if I fail? Or what if I get started and, okay, I'm this big business owner, I'm this therapist, I'm this doctor, but I want to be a coach. But then what if I have to start on a smaller scale? That'd be so embarrassing. I'm already making 6 figures over here. Why would I want to start something so small? And then what will my mom say? Oh my God, like my mom or my dad or somebody, a relative. And then you start to doubt yourself and tell yourself, no, I'm only a doctor. I'm a engineer. I'm a real estate agent. I'm whatever it is. You're not that. You are greatness. You are like, you have so much potential within you. You can do so much more, but then your story of who you are. I've been doing this for 20 years. I can only be a doctor. I can only be a lawyer. No, you can be whatever you want, and you can decide to change the story in this very moment. But what's holding you back is the people or your thoughts in your head. Your past experiences are holding you back. Your circumstances, I don't have enough money. The president sucks. Or, you're blaming everybody else like I used to. I used to be like, oh, the president is terrible. It's too hot outside. Complain, being the victim. I was always the victim. And because I was a victim, I wasn't getting anywhere. You focus on the problem, you get more of the problem. Start focusing on the solution. What can I do to improve my situation? And you'll find it, but you're not seeking it. And that's why people get in so much into their heads. And all of these things of being the perfectionist, self-doubt, fear of failure, fear of success causes the anxiety. And then a lot of people are like, why am I so anxious? Why am I overeating? Why am I drinking so much coffee? Why am I doing drugs, alcohol? Why am I doing all this stuff? But people don't want to sit in their stuff. I'll keep it PG up in here. But they don't want to sit in their stuff, their problems, because if they do, it's going to stink. And they don't want to be around stinky stuff, And so because they don't face the stuff, whatever you resist, it'll persist. And people wonder, why am I not getting ahead? Why am I not moving forward? It's because you're not facing the problem. Face the problem and, focus on it about 10%, and then the 90%, let's focus on the solution. And you will find a solution. And if you can't find a solution, get a coach. Your coach will get you out of your head and into your heart. And he or she will ask you, hey, what do you really want? What if, and I want to ask everybody that's listening to this, what if money and not caring about what people thought or said about you was a problem? Like, what if this was not a problem, a challenge? What would you do with your life? And this is another reason why a lot of people don't move forward with their lives, is because they don't have clarity. Why don't they have clarity? Because they don't want to sit down and take the time to find out the clarity, to write down what it is that they really truly desire. I remember I gave a workshop about a year ago, maybe more, and this like 42-year-old woman, she said, we were speaking about her vision, our goals, and then she spoke her vision, and then she started crying. And I said, why are you crying? And she said, I've had this goal, this vision in my head for 22 years. And I finally said it out loud. And she was just like so surprised that she actually spoke it. And she spoke it to, I think it was like about 20 people in the room. And she finally said it. And she was like, it was such a relief. Like, I've been holding on to this thought for 22 years, but because, mom and dad wanted her to be something else, she didn't become who she wanted to become. And it's amazing how many of us are still trying to people please. This is another, man, I can go on like all day.
I know.
The people pleaser, I've been a people pleaser, I want to please people, but when are you going to please yourself? Oh no, it's because you don't understand. Like, my family's always relied on me for taking care of everybody. The mother who always wants to nurture everybody and take care of everybody and then leaves herself at the end. It's like, you have to really dig down deep and ask yourself, who do I want to be? Am I being who I truly want to be? Or am I just being like everybody else? So again, I was all over the place right there, but things come up in my head. I guess I'm always thinking like, oh yeah, I remember this and this, but that's kind of like,
there's a lot. It's when you're doing the inner work, there is a lot. And I've been in this profession for over a decade as well. We're going to talk about your book too. It's kind of fun that you made the comment about how a lot of people don't even know what they want. They don't even clarify what they want. And in one of my books, The Outside the Box Entrepreneur, that's the first chapter, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's right. It's getting really honest with yourself about what you want. And there's a distinction within us between what our heart, if you want to call it that, our inner guidance, if you want to call it that, right? What we're being called to do versus what our mind is saying to us. You can feel the distinction because your mind is just full of all of that old conditioning. Everybody else's everybody else's ideas, beliefs, their points of view, their fears, their doubts, their insecurities that have been just sort of like dumped onto you, right? And those are the stories that you're talking about. Those are the things that people start to define as their self-image. And you can feel a disconnect within yourself. You can feel when you're not in integrity with yourself. And I always say to my clients, you cannot give what you do not have. So when you think you're doing somebody a favor and you're absolutely miserable, guess what? You're not really doing them a favor, right? You're projecting resentment onto them, negativity. You're not in a good place yourself. You're not the best version of yourself. Usually you're grumpy and you're miserable. I mean, let's be real. You're probably being an asshole because you're unhappy, right?
Yes, yes.
So you cannot give what you do not have. If you are not in alignment with yourself, if you're not congruent with yourself, if you're not honoring yourself, if you're not doing the things that you are being called to do, you're not really doing any favors. As much as you want to talk yourself out of, stepping outside of your comfort zone and dealing with the stuff that you're telling yourself, you're not doing yourself or anyone any favors. And that's where, you come in and you help to make some of those shifts. And that's what a good coach does. And I assume then that's something that you're helping your coach students do as well, for themselves as well as for their clients.
Absolutely. Yeah. You have to be very aware. Awareness is so powerful. And once you become more aware and you do the inner work and you spend some time by yourself, and that's what I do by myself. Like in the mornings, I meditate, I do journaling, I really dig in deep and ask myself, man, why is this bothering me? And then I just either forgive that person, send them love, and then I forgive myself at times too. And showing myself self-compassion. Like today, I dropped like a bunch of because my sons they have like little jars with quarters and stuff like that. And I dropped like a big jar of like a bunch of quarters and dimes and all that. And I saw it and I was like, it's okay, just pick it up. There you go, boom. Before that would have been like, oh my God, like I would have been a drama. I was gonna say a drama queen, but a drama king, I guess. But I would have like been like so dramatic about it and being like, oh, why, what the hell? Like, why is it? And then I'm just hurting myself. You have to have self-compassion. We beat ourselves up all day, just thinking about how we messed up and how we're so dumb. And I have a client that I coached, and I talked to her about how, she was thinking that she was ugly and she was dumb. And it was a thought that was put in her head by her mother when she was 9 years old. And then I asked her some very simple questions that people can use on the show here that, I asked her, are you dumb? Are you really ugly? And then she said, well, I'm not dumb, but I don't know if I'm like kind of ugly. Like I'm not that pretty. And I said, is it true that you're ugly? And she said, no. And then I asked her, when you're thinking that you're dumb and you're ugly, how do you show up? And she says, well, I really am insecure. I have no confidence. I feel like I'm not worthy. And then I asked her, who would you be without the thought? And she said, I would be really confident. I feel worthy. I would make more money. I would put my program out. And you could see the immediate energy shift. And then I said, whoa, did you see that? Like, who was that? Like, did you just feel that? And she said, wow, I felt it. Like, I almost felt like that transformation happened. And she said, wow, I didn't know that. Like, I just know now I feel, wow, I didn't know that I was that. And I said, yeah, it's within you. You can transform right now if you really want to, but it's asking yourself the right questions, and then also having other people ask you the right questions so that you can learn these questions, and then you can ask them yourself. You can coach yourself. You can do this. You can do this by yourself, but that programming that you've had from the past has conditioned you so much that it's going to take some time, but it will be so worth it. And it is just making sure that you are watching, again, your words and your thoughts. So powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's those moment by moment awarenesses and being intentional about creating that shift. It's oftentimes just reframe it in your mind, changes your mindset, changes your energy, and that changes everything. Because like you said, that was such a great example, so simple and yet so profound. When you make that subtle shift that literally just takes moments,
Yes.
to go from where you've been focusing, which feels like hell and is not based on truth, not in reality, right? That's just, a story that you're telling yourself.
Yep.
In that moment when you can shift to something, and it wasn't even that far. It's not like you're asking her to believe something that is completely outside of her scope of believing about herself. It's just a shift, right? It's saying, no, that's not entirely true. That's me being, I put on my victim hat. I'm being the drama queen or the drama king, right? And now let's take off the victim hat, put on my big kid pants, and what's the truth here, right? How do I want to feel?
Yes.
How do I want to feel right now? What is possible for me? And being able to make that shift in the moment is what keeps you on the positive trajectory, as opposed to going off into the weeds, and you get on the mental hamster wheel, where you're just going with all of your drama and all of your issues. And guess what? You're running like hell and you're not getting anywhere except emotionally exhausted.
Yep.
So
it's to this day, it still happens to me too. Like, I'm not perfect. I have my moments where I have some self-doubt, because I've had a past where, I've had some shame. I've had some embarrassing moments that sometimes they creep up and they mess with me. And that's that judge that shows up and says, who do you think you are? What are you trying to do? Like, a motivational speaker, coach? Like, yeah, right. Like, you only have a high school diploma, like it's that judge, that enemy within that really holds us back. It's not even anybody else that is really holding us back. It's that judge that at times will show up. And as you're growing more, that judge will show up again. And it shows up out of nowhere for some reason. You don't even know what the hell was that? Like, man, what?
It doesn't take much to trigger the old stuff. It doesn't.
Oh.
And no matter how much growth you do, you're always growing. So you'll always be bumping up against something. And, I think it's really important to remember that just because you bump up against some of your old stuff doesn't mean that you haven't made incredible progress, nor does it mean that you just hit the ceiling or the wall and you can't go any further, right? You've got to just recognize it is what it is. I bumped up against some old stuff. Now is the perfect time for me to change that old pattern and then keep going on that positive trajectory.
Yeah. Yeah.
So can you take a moment and share with us about your book? Tell us a little bit about it and where people can get a copy of it if they'd like one.
Yeah, definitely. So my book, it's called Morning Warrior Secrets, and it's just morning rituals for health, happiness, and wealth. And really super short read. It's like about 81 pages long. Each chapter is like 1 to 2 pages, short, sweet, right to the point, explains kind of like what I do in the mornings. And then on top of it, I give some strategies on how to get work done, how to get healthier. And I pretty much just talk about my ritual that I do in the mornings and how it has helped me out tremendously to keep this positive mindset. Because just think about it. When you wake up, the first hour of your day, how are you waking up? Are you waking up looking at social media, comparing yourself, complaining about what's going on in the news, freaking out about COVID, freaking out about a shooting? Are you doing that? Or are you waking up and working out, meditating, journaling, speaking out your vision? What are you going to create for the future? I have 3x5 cards where I write down my vision. I also have some PDFs in there that you can download, and then some audios that you can download as well to help you with like any money blocks you might be having, or also like just with your inner work that you're doing. And it helps you out to make sure that you're starting your morning off right. Because if you start your morning off on the wrong foot and you end your day bad, you're going to end up your life. It's gonna be bad because you're waking up doing the exact same thing over and over again. Switch it up. Get a morning ritual, and you'll feel more energized. And the only way to level up and take your life to the next level is by having more energy. And this right here will energize you like crazy. It's, for me, it's like if I don't have my morning ritual, I can kind of tell that I'm a little bit off. And because this is the moment where I connect with myself, where I get to know myself even deeper. And nobody is going to control the way that I'm going to live my life but me. I'm in control. And I usually do like an hour or 2 hours at times in the morning, and it's been a game changer. And you can get this on Amazon. You can get it as an ebook, or you can get the copy, the paperback.
Is there a link to it also on your website?
Not on my website, but I do have the link that, just gave me a great idea right there. I should put the link on there. But yeah, you can go to Amazon. You can just type in Morning Warrior Secrets, and it'll be the first book to pop up right there.
Excellent. Okay. And I just want to give a little bit of a plug for the morning ritual, because when I was going through school to become a certified hypnotherapist, one of the foundational pieces that you learn about is how hypnosis is a natural state that we go in and out of throughout each and every day. And right after we wake up in the morning, for that first 15 or so minutes, and right as we are drifting off to sleep, you are in a natural state of hypnosis, heightened suggestibility, where the critical filter of your mind that's normally up and kind of blocking out stuff throughout your day, it's not really active. So you have to be very mindful of what you are putting into your mind during those critical periods, because you literally are like a sponge. Your subconscious mind is wide open. So use that time, treat it with respect, because like you said, we are conditioning ourselves all the time. It could be 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And if you are immersing yourself in the dramas that are on the news, guess what? That's negative conditioning. But you especially do not want to be doing that during those golden hours, during those peak times where you are in that heightened state of suggestibility. So use that time to your advantage and put lots of good stuff in your.
I love that. That's such a great point. And in the book, I tell people, like, an hour before you go to bed, don't even look at your phone. Put the phone down, put the phone away, because what it does, it actually doesn't let you rest. Like, it reduces the melatonin, and you can sometimes get asleep because you're still kind of like, just energized by what you're seeing, whether it's good energy or bad energy, it doesn't matter. So for me, like, an hour before bed, I don't look at my phone. I don't look at anything negative. I avoid the news as much as I can. Sometimes I'll read a little bit of the news, but maybe like once a week, if that. And it's been like 7 years since I haven't like watched the news, and it's been like a total game changer, because it's just the same the same story, just like told like in 4 different contexts. Like, it's just the same stuff over and over. COVID, people died, and I understand people die every day, but when we focus on the death rates, the people that are getting shot, then it's going to be stored, like you said, in our subconscious, because our subconscious can be very easily impressed by like what we see, and it'll go on for the rest of the day and the rest of the week. So I love what you just said with that. And so thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Guard that most precious asset that you have, your own mind. Yep. And when you learn how to work with it to change your own mindset and to sort of master your own emotional state, it really is the difference between living a happy, empowered, successful life and feeling like you've lost control and you're just going through the motions.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So tell us your website before we wrap it up. And then I'd love for you to take a moment and share any final thoughts that you have for us.
Sure. Yeah. So my website is ibelieveinmyself.org. Yeah, you can check out my website there, and you can see my TED Talk in there about, I talk about like how I went through depression, anxiety when I was in high school and, my 20s. And then also some interviews I have in there. And then also just some of my workshops. So if anybody's interested in like a workshop for teens, college students, or even your organization, if you feel like your organization needs some motivation to get to their goals, to increase their sales and revenues, I have a workshop that is called The Blueprint to Turn Goals into Achievement. And that one right there, I guarantee you it'll get your team running and going for that big goal, that dream. And so, yeah, you can check out my website, or you can send me a message at Andres Ruiz on Facebook, and I'd be more than happy to, connect. And if you need any coaching, anybody that's watching, I'd be more than happy to give you a free session to see if we'd be a good fit to help you overcome those fears that are stopping you from your greatness and create a strategy for that big vision that you desire.
Awesome. I love that. So I would just like to thank you so much for coming on and sharing your energy. I know that you and I could easily talk on these topics for like hours and hours and hours. We
Yep.
could
I
probably
know.
do our own like summit on it.
Yeah. Yes, yes, I know we could. Yeah,
But
definitely.
this is at least just a little taste and hopefully a little bit of inspiration for, even if it's just a couple of people who just needed to hear a part of this today, to
Yeah.
snap out of whatever funk they've been in and get themselves back in the game. And, you are an awesome person. And, it's so funny because, sometimes when you're having a conversation with a colleague that's in a similar profession, right, there can be like, oh, well, wouldn't that take business away from me? Or, the kind of like competition mindset.
Yeah.
And, I'm a firm believer that there is so much abundance in this universe and that there are perfect clients for everyone. There is a perfect coach for every client, the perfect client for every coach. And, just do your thing. Don't come from scarcity. There is so much good here for everyone. And if we all just cooperate and we're all in harmony, man, it would just take so much of the unnecessary stress and fear and drama out of the equation. So thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for sharing everything that you've shared with us. I will, of course, have the link to your website in the description so that if people forgot, they can just easily click on it. And I just really encourage anyone who feels inspired to reach out, have that conversation with you. Get the support that you need. Stop saying no to yourself, start saying yes to yourself. It's not about what your mom wants for you or, what your family, I've never had a wealthy family. Therefore, who am I, right? The good old classic imposter syndrome,
Yeah.
I don't
We can
have,
talk about that one forever.
right. It just, I know a lot of very, very wealthy and successful people, and I will tell you, they are just as human as all of us,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, I
So
agree.
don't hold yourself back from what your heart is calling you to do. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up for this episode. Thank you again. Thank you, everyone. And make sure that you subscribe and tune in for more amazing episodes with amazing guests.
Thank you. Thank you so much.